at a conducting workshop, you have to believe that how you move through the air will make a difference in how the ensemble perceives the music or how you want the music to go. If you don't believe that, you probably should not be here because everything we're going to say, you're going to say, oh. And there's always the excuse, oh, my students can't do, no. Good teaching takes time. And the problem in the band world is everybody is on the fast track because they're going to do this, and they're going to do this, and good teaching takes time. So to get them to respond to you as a conductor, you can't just go in to your band room Monday morning and go, and that was your downbeat for the first piece. Because they're going to go, you have to train them. You have to train them. That being said, we are the only medium where the director, and I don't really like director word, but follow me, that the director or one of the main creators goes on stage with the product. So in other words, you see a play, the director's not running back and forth going, go here, you, go here. Go to an art museum, there's not an artist sitting there painting the picture. I'll be done in just a minute. But isn't that a good apple? They're done. We go on stage to create our art. So therefore, we can't talk. We're not supposed to. We've heard people talking from the podium. You hear it. But you're not supposed to. So it has to all be in gesture. Well, basically there are three things in gesture that control style. And before like the 80s, the 1980s, the art of conducting was considered an art. And in fact, do you know that Bach and all that, if you're any, who's had theory? I'm not going to give you a theory question. Who has theory? Right, you know the Roman numeral stuff you do? Bach didn't do that. Bach didn't even know that. I mean, I guess he did. But what happened was somebody named Gottfried Weber started analyzing Bach and realized there was a system to how he was using harmony. So he came up with that labeling idea. Well, what's happened in conducting, in the teaching of conducting, when I had conducting in when I had conducting, I think it was 1973 or 74. When we were asked to do legato, we'll be smooth. When we were asked to do marcato, well, heavier. I mean, that was kind of it. And our cue was, crash. So if I conducted anything in 3/4 with a cue on 2, I was nails. I was all over it. But after that, it was nothing. So the problem is that what we have done is watch great conductors through that period, because the education boom in music started in the 50s. So watching conductors from the 50s to the 80s, then there's kind of come this idea of school of teaching conducting. And those of us who teach conducting at college then have to just figure out what the heck are we doing up there that we've kind of intuitively done, and how can I show you how I do that? So the three things are weight, rebound, and resistance. The 3 R's of conducting. That's not even reading, writing, and arithmetic. Rebound will kill you. Rebound will kill you. And it's probably the worst thing we do as conductors. We over-rebound. So the idea is if you can control rebound, then you start to control ictus. Are you with me? Ictus being the point of attack. Depending on the rebound, depends on how short or long the note is or heavy. But this is not the only rebound. And our problem is some of us conduct like a basketball, like we're bouncing a basketball. You bounce a basketball, it wants to come back to the place it started. So we have a tendency to conduct like that. Well, that's if you only want that note that long. Think about if you took a mattress, which is pretty soft, and dropped it from a second floor. Is it going to bounce to the second floor? It's going to go, poof. Well, right, that's pesante. This isn't pesante. You with me? All right, so if we talk about the right hand, you got to turn my hand out sideways. It's the first one, it's the blue one. If you can't read that, on the look at right hand. On the left-hand side of the right hand, Sounds like I'm being biblical now. The left-hand side of the right hand, it says weight, and then it shifts to resistance. And then look at the word rebound. See how it gets bigger and then comes back? That's how your rebound changes with those different styles. So a GOS is a gesture of syncopation. So if I go, if you remember when I started Song of the Blacksmith? How many of you ever played in jazz band? Right, you ever get this lick? There's a very famous piece that you'd hear every night that started like this. Anybody know? Every night, every weeknight. See all the old guys. Tonight Show. That's when the Tonight Show had a band, a real band. Big band. Here's Johnny. The band didn't just go, The drummer would set it up, right? And if you're a drummer, you know you have to fill in that space with some kind of hit. Because if they don't know where one is, they can't play the offbeat of one. That's how you have to do as a conductor. Now we have a tendency as conductors to subdivide it. Remember I was talking, I want to touch your beat? Gesture syncopation is all weight, no rebound. No rebound at all. So then you kind of look mechanical if you've got the Song of the Blacksmith where there are four of them in a row. So I want you to sing a short offbeat when you think I want you to do it. Just go, dot. You with me? Now remember, it's an offbeat, not a downbeat. Here you go. You're late. You're way early. You're still late. You're not together. You hear how it starts to come together? Because what I was trying to do is touch your beat the first time. Well, I can't do it with you, because if I do it with you, you're going to be behind me. So a gesture syncopation, all weight, no resistance, no rebound. Then we start to pull out of this stop gesture to start to add rebound. So if you know, rebound starts to get bigger when we start to do the gestures like pesante. Bop, 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 in the whole first suite. It's not this. It's this. So notice I'm coming down with more force than I'm rebounding. Are you with me? Are you seeing that? Whoa. Now marcato is less heavy. See how the rebound got a little bit bigger? Still have the same force coming down, but I'm coming up higher versus. Why? Because for notes to be heavy, they have to have articulation and then what? Weight. And weight translates into? Keep going. How do you make a note heavy? Length. See, if you go, pop, is that a heavy note? No, that's just an articulate. But if you went, pop, that's heavy. So you got to stay down, see? And then as the attack gets a little bit less, you can rebound higher. Try it. Try it. Let's try a gesture of syncopation. My mom said you could put out an eye in a situation like this. Just, By the way, now there'll be some people that don't agree with me. Unfortunately, they're wrong. The wrist always moves in conducting. The wrist always moves in conducting. The wrist always moves in conducting. Where you get a problem is that the wrist does not move past parallel. So you don't dog paddle. Okay, good. But you don't do this because you've got these hinges here. And you've got to use all the hinges. So, in the gesture of syncopation and in pesante, this socket, I'm sorry, it's me. I do a Bobby McFerrin thing. In these strong gestures, the socket of the shoulder initiates. And then these hinges all move together, but they move. So it's this, with all the energy going to the tip of the stick. I don't unfold them. They all move towards the tip of the stick. You with me? And then if you start adding rebound, as you start to add rebound, you start to eliminate hinges. So when I go to marcato, watch what happens with my shoulder. I'm going to start with pesante and then look at the shoulder. See how what this did now is start to move the pattern, but it didn't initiate. All right. Staccato is all wrist. All wrist. The minute you add forearm, you've got marcato. Staccato is all wrist. Now, what's interesting about the rebound and the ictus in staccato? And the weight and all that. Hello? Look at it. Have you been taught that if you guess wrong, that you're an idiot? You're afraid of being wrong. I want you to be thinking. Tell me. The question is, what's unique about the rebound versus the ictus of a staccato gesture? Who said it? It's equal. It's the same. Why? Because the note's short. The same energy you come down with, you come away with because you don't want the note long, so you don't stay down. So try that. Hold your arm still, your forearm still, and just do your wrist. A great way to practice is put your hand on the dining room table or table of the cafeteria and just tap it without lifting your forearm.